The truce flag hung like a soft ribbon above Harbor Station, a blue-white sign that said this place was safe to speak. Commander Mira Solis stood under it and watched the morning crowd. Traitors rolled small crates on quiet wheels. Children pointed at the big windows where ships slid by like silver fish. Mira liked mornings because people were open then. They carried fresh thoughts. They had not yet built their careful walls. Her team's table was simple, a wooden surface with a kettle, cups, a bowl of lemon slices, and a sign that read, "Transparency Desk." No badges, no loud uniforms, no harsh lights. Only names. Mira, Taro, Selkari, Paru. They welcomed anyone who wished to talk about odd paperwork, strange timing, or tiny details that made no sense. Not to blame, to understand. Taro Wynn, the OI, data analyst, set the kettle to hum and arranged a neat stack of blank cards. He was short, cheerful, and always wore the same soft sweater because it felt like a hug. He loved puzzles more than he loved sleep. Archivist Selkari of Illyra stood next to him, graceful and tall, with calm eyes that never seemed to blink. Selkari could repeat a form number from 2 years ago without looking, yet never made anyone feel small for forgetting. Envoy Paru, from the Vesselite worlds, adjusted a band of pale silk on their wrist. Paru believed that a gentle voice could move cargo faster than any order, and often it did. The line formed fast. A repair worker with a grease mark on her cheek. A teacher with a bag of student drawings. A courier who kept checking a page on his wrist, as if the page was nervous too. People came because the war had ended, and with it, the habit of silence. They came because the sign said there would be tea. They came because the team had promised 3 things: no blame without proof, no names released without consent, and every person thanked for their time. The repair worker went first. She spoke about a humming sound at night in the gallery wing. Not loud, only steady, like a small machine. She had told her boss, but the boss said the gallery was art, and art liked to hum. The teacher offered a student drawing that showed constellations on the gallery ceiling, lines between stars, but not the same lines as last week. The courier confessed he often arrived right at closing time because that's when the quick lane opened. He did not know who opened it, he just liked how kind the person was. No lectures, only a smile and the same phrase every time. Keep the corridors open. Mira wrote, "Keep the corridors open" on a card and placed it at the table's center. She looked at the phrase until it felt like it had weight. Sometimes a simple sentence was a door. By midday, Taro had 12 small piles of cards with dates and times. He saw a pattern start to form, like dots that wanted to become a picture. He whispered, 13 days, as if talking to the numbers might help them trust him. Every 13 days, a set of small shipping errors appeared in the station's freight ledger. Nothing big. A crate went to C deck instead of D deck. A meal pack count showed 2 extra servings. A customs form missing a field was accepted anyway. Each error alone was harmless. Together, they made a gentle wave. 13 days, 13 days, 13 days. Selkari leaned in. "Let us map the minute," they said softly. "When does each error occur? Before noon? After?" They loved time, like a musician loves rhythm. Taro ran a quick script, and the tea kettle clicked as if it wanted to be part of the thinking. The results were polite but clear. Many forms were submitted exactly 1 minute before closing, on different worlds across different time zones, yet always at the same local moment. The pattern was not in the people. The pattern was in the clocks. Paru poured tea for the courier. "When you hear 'keep the corridors open,' how do you feel?" they asked. Not because feelings were data, but because feelings could suggest the right question next. The courier smiled shyly. "Like I'm helping," he said. "Like I'm part of something kind. Medicine can pass, school software updates can pass. If budget's slow, the quick lane keeps people safe." He did not know who ran the quick lane, only that the person had clean hands and thanked him each time. Mira held the card with the phrase again. She thought of the truce flag. Sometimes kindness hid under a table to avoid being hurt. Sometimes kindness needed sunlight to stay pure. We should visit the gallery wing, she said. If a machine hums like a secret, perhaps the art is part of the story. They walked through a quiet corridor with soft lights and a floor that felt like walking on clouds. The gallery was a long room with high ceilings. Paintings changed every week. Local artists, traveling shows, old archive prints that made children widen their eyes. Today the walls showed starfields. Thin white lines joined stars into shapes that looked like plants, birds, hands. Taro tilted his head. Not the common constellations, he said. This looks like connect the dots, but the dots are not the usual ones. Selkari closed their eyes and listened. The hum was not in the walls, it was in the lights. A faint melody of power cycles, not steady like standard art lamps. These lights are on a schedule that does not match station time, they said. Someone told them a different story of the day. They touched the edge of a frame and noticed the tiniest magnetic residue, like a kiss of a tool. Someone adjusts these often. A security assistant walked by. Mira introduced the team and asked for permission to see the gallery lighting schedule. The assistant shrugged. It's art, he said kindly. If you think of a better way to make it look good, I'll tell the curator. He handed over a maintenance tablet. The schedule showed many small shifts, all logged as curation variants, all spaced 13 days apart. Taro's eyes lit up. The gallery timing and the freight errors dance together, he said. When the art lights shift, the ledger bumps. It's like someone using the lights to teach a clock to behave in a certain way. He explained in simple words, some museum systems sync their clocks by reading light cycles. If you taught the lights a new cycle, you could nudge a clock to think it was a different minute. A customs terminal that looked at that clock would accept a form at exactly 1 minute before closing over and over, even if the human filing the form was not aware. Mira did not accuse anyone. She walked and looked. The paintings showed constellations with lines that did not match local maps. But what if the lines matched movement cross-system? She asked the curator for a record of the past exhibits. The curator was excited that someone took their art so seriously. We had the Hands of the Night series last month, she said. Before that, Ladders in the Sky. And earlier, a special show, Journeys of Kindness, where the lines between stars spelled hidden words if you squinted. She laughed gently. It made visitors feel clever. The team asked to see the set of posters for Journeys of Kindness. They laid them on a table. Taro stood on a chair to look from above. Paru dimmed the room lights to let the printed stars shine. Selkari took out a small transparent grid they carried for archive checks. One by one, they lined up the posters as the curator had hung them, remembering visitor flow. A path emerged. Not a path across one sky, but across many. Between the first poster and the next, a line jumped to a new star that did not belong to the original pattern. The jump was small, almost playful, but measured. 13 jumps later, the line ended at a star with a tiny dot next to it, like a whisper. Connect the jumps by date, Mira said. Which world had this poster on which day? Which station borrowed it next? The curator had records, of course. Curators live in records. The posters moved with grant schedules, with festival dates, with shipping windows. And every time a poster arrived, the maintenance log for the lights showed minor changes to best display. The team mapped the path and found it did not end at a smuggler's bay or market. It pointed to a diplomatic archive on a quiet world not far from Harbor Station, an archive sealed during the war and opened only with a lawful key. They traveled there under the truce flag. The archive was beautiful, stone, glass, a courtyard, with a tree that sounded like rain when the wind moved through it. The keeper greeted them with a smile that carried the weight of many careful years. We do not often have guests from the field, she said. We mostly host quiet papers and patient dust. She let them stand in the main hall where sunlight crossed the floor in warm squares. Mira asked, was the sealed wing opened recently? The keeper checked a ledger and nodded. Yes, she said. A standard audit during the armistice transition. Very proper. Key used at 14 Quarren station time. She read the key's identity and spoke a name that made the air pause. It was one of the peace negotiators, a person known for their calm speeches and careful words, someone who had encouraged both sides to never confuse patience with weakness. Taro looked at Mira. Selkari did not blink. Was the negotiator present? Mira asked. The keeper showed a small video of the door log. A light turned green. The door sighed open. No person stood in the frame. Only a shadow, like the leg of a table. We run the door by code plus key, the keeper said. If the code is entered and the key is near, the door opens. The device does not demand a face. They thanked the keeper, left the hall, and sat in the courtyard where the trees sang softly. Paru spread 3 teacups and a 4th for the empty air, an old Vesselite habit to honor unknowns. If the negotiator's key opened the door, Paru said, but the negotiator was not here. Where was the negotiator at that time? Selkari answered without checking anything. Morning on Harbor Station felt like fresh air after a long night. The blue-white truce flag moved softly above the atrium, and people walked a little slower as if they wanted the day to last. Commander Mira Solis arrived early at the transparency desk with her team. The kettle warmed. The cups waited. On the table, 2 cards sat side by side. Keep the corridors open and caretaker. They were not warnings. They were reminders of a promise to handle things in the open. Mira began by writing a simple plan on a clean page. She wanted a forum where anyone could follow each step of the puzzle, just as the team had followed it. No secrets, no special code. She wanted people to see that patterns do not need to be feared when they are explained with steady hands. Taro Wynn nodded and checked the feed setup. Selkari reviewed notes with calm eyes that missed nothing. Envoy Paru rested their fingers on the table, feeling the faint hum of the station as if sensing the mood of the day. At the time set for the forum, the lights dimmed and the atrium screens came alive. Chairs stood in circles again. People gathered in quiet groups, traitors with small tools in their pockets, students who loved star maps, archivists who smiled at the idea of public ledgers, station staff who knew the timing of doors and lifts by heart. Director HFY, an Andelian mediator with a gentle voice, sat in the front circle. They would help keep the discussion fair. Mira started with a greeting so simple it almost felt like a whisper. "We are here," she said, "because the good work of many kind hands made a pattern. We want to understand it together." She lifted a poster from the art show and held it up. "Some of you saw this display," she continued. "You noticed lines between stars. We noticed timing around lights. We noticed small, harmless ledger bumps. We followed those steps and they led us to a sealed archive door that opened with a lawful key." She placed the poster on a stand and clicked to the first slide, a timeline. "These are the dates you gave us," she said. "Thank you. Each dot is a small thing. Together they form a story." She drew a line from dot to dot with a slow stylus so everyone could follow. 13 days, Taro said softly, just loud enough for the room to hear. That number shows up again and again. People nodded. Some smiled when he told the story of climbing on a chair to see the posters better. It made the puzzle feel human. Selkari described the maintenance logs. "The lights in the gallery were adjusted often," they said in a mild tone. "We believe the lights taught nearby clocks a rhythm. This is not a trick. It is a feature used in a new way." A maintenance worker raised a hand. "We do clock syncs by light in other wings too," she said. "It's cheaper than special hardware." Selkari thanked her, and Mira wrote "Light Syncs Common" on the page so everyone could see the note. Paru spoke with warmth that filled the corners of the room. The phrase, "keep the corridors open," made couriers feel useful, they said. It made them feel part of care. That is not wrong. We honor that feeling. The courier with the nervous page watched with careful eyes and relaxed a little. Director HFY raised a hand. "What of the key?" they asked. "You said a key opened a door when its owner was elsewhere." Mira explained calmly that the archive door accepted a code plus the presence of the registered key. "Keys can be duplicated for drills and maintenance. We do not yet know who carried the duplicate," she said. "We only know the key's identity and the time." She pointed at the timeline again. "We choose patience. We choose to learn before we name." A hand rose from the back. An older attendant in a station vest asked, "Is this a hunt?" The word hung there, heavy from old habits. Mira shook her head. No, she said softly. This is a repair. We are fixing a place where the light did not reach. We do it with the door open so everyone can see how we fix it. The forum took a break so people could sip tea and ask small questions. Taro stepped aside to run a fresh check. He used open tools on a shared display so anyone could watch the code. He focused on a new thought that had been nudging his mind all morning. The pattern felt less like a person's schedule and more like a station's heartbeat. When he plotted the timing against the gallery's lamp cycles and compared that chart with the janitorial schedule, a neat overlap appeared. The pattern followed the cleaning bots. He called Mira over and pointed. Look, he said, excited but steady. Maintenance bots rest in charging lockers near the gallery. They read the lamp cycles to time their starts. Someone could set the lights so the bots stir at a certain minute, and nearby terminals sync to the same rhythm. That would make small timing windows appear without any person standing at a console. He looked almost shy. It's smart, he added, and it means we should talk to the people who set cleaning schedules. Mira returned to the circle and explained the finding in simple language. A station engineer confirmed that bots often served as quiet timekeepers. It saves us trouble, he said. They are good at steady cycles. The idea did not frighten the room. It made the puzzle feel reachable. If the timing hinged on tools, they could adjust the tools. They could design better rules to keep schedule tricks from becoming doors no one else could see. After the forum, Mira invited 3 key holders who had lawful access to the archive wing. They met in a small glass room where you could see the atrium's trees and the moving flag. Director HFY joined, not as a judge, but as a steady chair in the circle. Paru poured tea. Selkari listened with a kind of attention that made people feel safe. There were no accusations. Mira simply asked what would make someone create a quiet lane, rather than ask for an official one. The first key holder, a registrar with careful hands, sighed. Because the official lane can be slow, she said. Because forms get stuck for reasons that feel small when you are holding a box marked school library or clinic supplies. The second key holder, a curator from a different wing, admitted that art logistics sometimes doubled as gentle excuses. People do not argue with the delivery for a children's show, he said, looking a little ashamed and a little relieved. The third key holder simply said, I do not know who duplicated the key. I do know the phrase. It is a good phrase. It made people feel strong enough to ask for help. They parted with thanks, not demands. Mira promised to bring a draft plan for an open lane that could work quickly without leaving shadow footprints. We will bring it to you, she said, and to the public. You can help us shape it. That evening, a message arrived in Taro's inbox. It carried the same plain voice as before. We are not hiding from you, it read. We wanted to protect shipments that help small places. We used the word caretaker to remind ourselves to be kind. We are ready to listen. If there is a way to do this in the open without shame, we will come. The message listed examples. Batteries for a flood lamp at a remote clinic. Language tablets for a village school. A box of seed packs that had missed a funding vote by 1 week. Each line felt like a hand reaching across a table. Mira smiled at the team. Then we give them a table, she said. And we build the open lane together. They worked through the night with clear heads and steady hearts. They outlined a simple system called the Transparent Corridor Protocol. Anyone could see it. Anyone could ask questions. It did 4 things well. First, it set pre-approved categories for emergency items like medicine, learning tools, repair parts for safety systems, and food for community kitchens. Second, it created small automatic windows, short lanes that opened at regular times each day, so urgent goods could pass without waiting for a long chain of signatures. Third, it shared automatic reports with everyone, families, unions, schools, councils, vendors, not just officials. Fourth, it limited the size and cost per window and required public receipts afterward, so kindness could not turn into favoritism. Selkari suggested a clear symbol, a little cube with a gentle glow, that stations could place above any counter using the lane. When the cube glows, they said, people can walk up and know this is the place that will help right now. Paru wrote the messaging for the public, simple sentences promising help without favoritism. Taro built a dashboard with large, friendly numbers and graphs any student could read. It showed lanes open, items passed, and the next window time. Mira drafted a 1-page code of care so short a child could memorize it. By midday, they were ready. They returned to the atrium and shared the plan. No one had to guess. They handed out printed copies. They clicked through the dashboard. Children pointed at the glowing cube and clapped when it changed from soft to bright. The 3 key holders nodded from their chairs. The courier with the nervous page smiled without looking at his wrist. Director HFY read each rule aloud in that kind voice that made words feel like steady furniture. Then something quiet and wonderful happened. A small group stepped forward from the back row. Faces familiar from the station, but never the center of attention. A scheduler for the loading platform, the registrar with careful hands, a volunteer from a community pantry, a gallery assistant who knew technicians by their first names. They stood in a simple line, nervous but brave. "We were part of the old pattern," the scheduler said. "We wanted good things to keep moving. We were wrong to do it in quiet ways. We would like to help build the open version." Mira thanked them and invited them to sit at the front table. No one clapped loudly. The room breathed out in relief as if it had been holding a